5 foods that can actually help fight cancer. And the first food we're going to actually talk about is something that might be a little controversial, but it's actually supported by science. And that is that some dairy products, and I'm going to talk about 2 of them, might have the possibility to help fight cancer and help burn body fat all at the same time. We all have DNA in our body. When your DNA is damaged, it's called a mutation. What does mutation set you up for? Cancer. So protecting your DNA with an antioxidant property of curcumin found in is actually another benefit. The gingerol, if also directly groom the health of the lining of the blood vessels, the endothelial. They also directly help vascular health, get better blood flow. Better blood flow, better heart function. Better blood flow, better brain function.
But what about prevention? What are foods that can prevent cancer? Well, it turns out that 2 apples a day actually can lower the rate of lung cancer and
Today, we're going to talk about the amazing benefits of ginger and turmeric for longevity and overall health. I love these 2 foods, ginger and turmeric, and you can find them in the fresh produce section of a grocery store or a Asian market. You'll definitely find them. Or you can go to the middle aisle of the grocery store and find them ground up and dried as spices. And so don't be afraid to actually wander into the middle aisle and go to the spice section to find ginger and turmeric. So let's talk a little bit about ginger and turmeric individually. First of all, turmeric actually comes from Southeast Asia. It is a tiny little root, kind of a nub, kind of cigar shape, but tiny, smaller. And it's got a little skin on it, and you peel off the skin, or if you break it in half, you'll see that it's bright orange on the inside. Now, this is an edible root that can be used for cooking and stewing. You often see this in Southeast Asian cuisine. You can also find it in Indian cuisine as well. Turmeric's actually been used for traditional healing, Ayurvedic healing, traditional medicines for thousands of years. I like to think about it as a colorful spice that you can actually use for cooking as well. And what's in turmeric is something called curcumin. Now, curcumin is a bioactive that does a lot of really powerful things. Curcumin lowers inflammation in your body. It's sort of the OG, one of the original anti-inflammatory substances. All right, that's what curcumin does, anti-inflammatory. Curcumin also can cut off the blood supply, feeding cancer, so it's anti-angiogenic. This is something that I did work on years ago and to help discover that activity. Curcumin also is antioxidant, so it actually protects your DNA. Look, we all have DNA in our body. It's our genetic instructions. They make proteins. You don't want them to be damaged, because when your DNA is damaged, it's called a mutation. What does mutation set you up for? Cancer. So protecting your DNA with an antioxidant property of curcumin found in turmeric is actually another benefit. The other thing that turmeric actually does is it slows down cellular aging. Now, this is different than actually reversing aging, like you don't turn into a baby when you have it, but it actually gets your cells chilled out a little bit, so you're not as, your cells are not speeding up and going towards a more aged state. All right, so it slows down cellular aging. And in fact, it can actually help to slow down the burning down of your telomeres. These are actually the kind of like the fuses at the end of your DNA that burn down as we age. It slows that whole process down. So that's turmeric. All right. Now, what about ginger? Another root, really amazing root. I love ginger that you can actually find in the fresh market of the grocery store. You can find it dried in the spice market. If you go to an Asian grocery store, you'll actually see beautiful, big chunks of ginger. They're sort of like almost like a cactus, a big centerpiece with lots of little arms sticking out. And ginger is something that's used in Asian cooking of all sorts. If you've actually been to the sushi bar, you know that ginger is sliced really thin and given as a pile next to your sushi. Absolutely delicious. Ginger also is used to flavor stir fries in Chinese cooking. Ginger is used in Thai food, Vietnamese food, used in soups. Just a beautiful, really delicate but potent type of flavor. Now, what's in ginger? Ginger has a bioactive called gingerol. Now, gingerol's been studied. It's anti-inflammatory. It is antioxidant. It also cuts off the blood supply to tumors. This is something I worked on as well. And gingerol also can actually improve metabolism and help to lower lipids as well. And I want to give you a little pro tip on ginger, because when I used to buy ginger, I used to take it back, you stick it on a cutting board, and you got to take a knife, hopefully a small knife, and you just kind of like scrape off and trim off that thin skin layer. It took a while, all right? And the skin was, you know, you don't want to cut too deeply into the ginger, but I actually found a tip that I'm sharing with you now. If you want to really peel ginger like a pro, here's what you do. Take a tablespoon, just one out of your spoon drawer, your silverware drawer, all right? And what you do is you hold the spoon in one hand with the curved side facing the ginger, and you hold that ginger and you just scrape it with the spoon. Scrape, 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 scrape. Your spoon will take off that skin just at the skin level, and before, it just takes like a few seconds, you've actually skinned the entire ginger without wasting it. Super easy, and it's a great pro tip for using ginger. All right, now let's talk about the benefit of turmeric and ginger together when it comes to longevity and overall health. One of the things that this combination of turmeric and ginger that I think would be really good for is joint health. Now, obviously, as we get older, our joints suffer from wear and tear. You get inflammation, you get pain, osteoarthritis. And it turns out that ginger and turmeric, when you combine their anti-inflammatory properties together, can actually be a balm for inflammation in your body. And what better tissue to actually aim at is to actually lower inflammation in your joints. Sure, you can take a pill, a non-steroidal, but actually taking turmeric and ginger, adding it to your food is a wonderful way to get some of this, all the bioactives in, to be able to help that vulnerability of aging, which is really joint pain and joint compromise. Okay, the other thing that I think that turmeric and ginger are great for, think about it, brain health. Now, when we actually are aging, one of the things that we really want to avoid is dulling of the brain, cognitive deficits. You know, where's my keys? Now I can't remember. What did you just say? What's my name? You want to avoid that. So it turns out that it's thought that inflammation plays a role, brain inflammation plays a role. So both turmeric and ginger have these wonderful properties that can actually be anti-inflammatory in nature. The other thing that occurs, we think, is that oxidative stress in the brain damages neurons, the nerves in your brain. And so the antioxidant properties of both ginger and turmeric are really, really great to be able to help as part of an overall lifestyle plan to be able to calm down your inflammation and oxidative stress in your brain as we age. So for better cognitive health, all right? The other thing that turmeric and ginger are good for is cardiovascular health. All right. Now, again, inflammation within your blood vessels, your arteries, That's a setup for atherosclerosis, which is building up of crap on the lining. Okay, this is sort of lipids and other inflammatory proteins. They've formed a crust on inside your blood vessels. When you hear about somebody having a heart attack with blockages, that's really because the crust is actually formed, the gunk is formed inside your blood vessel because of damaged blood vessels to that inner lining, the endothelial lining of your blood vessels. So anything that's anti-inflammatory actually can help counter those effects that can cause cardiovascular disease. That's the accumulation of gunk material, lipids, that caused by inflammation that can actually cause blockages, narrowing and blockages, whether it's in the heart, which sets you up for a heart attack, in the brain, sets you up for vascular dementia, as well as stroke in your neck, the carotid arteries, and in your legs, because you can cause peripheral arterial disease. Now, this is actually a silent kind of heart disease, except it's not in your heart, it's in your legs. And the gunk accumulates to the point where you actually can't even walk 100 feet before.
Hey, just a quick note. I wanted to share another great resource with you. Look, I love eating seasonally. When foods are in season, they taste fresher, their flavors are better, and they have, more importantly, more bioactives that help your body activate your health defenses. So they're better for you as well. And I put together a special guide that shows you some of these foods called 3 disease-fighting foods for the spring. Trust me, these are the foods that you're going to want to put in your cart the next time you're in the grocery store or when you're at the farmer's market. Get my guide for you right now for free in the caption below. Now, let's get back to the video.
Well, your blood vessels are very narrow, so the muscles of your leg aren't getting enough oxygen, so you seize up and cramp. And this is actually, when this actually happens, you could be walking down the parking lot just 100 feet, and then you got to stop and rest. All right, your muscles need to completely stop their work so they can actually load up again, get rid of the lactic acid, and get more oxygen. Or walking in a shopping center or a shopping mall, you just walk a few stores length and now you cramp up. That is actually peripheral arterial disease. So ginger and turmeric, with their anti-inflammatory effects, help to protect blood vessels. But the gingerol of ginger and the curcumin of turmeric also directly groom the health of the lining of the blood vessels, the endothelial cells, that inner lining, okay? And so they also directly help vascular health, the health of your blood vessels, so you get better blood flow. Better blood flow, better heart function. Better blood flow, better brain function. And by the way, this also applies to your legs, it applies to all your organs, it applies also to erectile function as well. You want good blood flow in every part of your body. So when it comes to brain health, cardiovascular health, when it comes to joint health, turmeric and ginger are really, really useful foods to be used as part of the tool in the toolbox, the food as medicine. But every bit as importantly, I want to let you know that ginger and turmeric are great foods to cook with, whether they're dried form or whether they're fresh form. And look, if you don't know how to use these ingredients, it's so simple. Type in ginger and turmeric, go on to Google, hit search, recipe, hit search, punch up video, and watch somebody teach you some of the recipes that they love to make to create a tasty dish you created using the healthy ingredients of turmeric and ginger. 5 foods that can actually help fight cancer. And the first food we're going to actually talk about is green tea. Now, green tea contains catechins that have been shown to lower the risk of colon cancer, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer, cancers of the gut, actually, because you're sipping the green tea and it's flowing down and touching your entire GI tract. Now, what's in green tea? Something called catechins, specifically EGCG. All right, Edward George, Charlie George. And this is actually something that I've studied. I'm a researcher. I have actually studied food as medicine in the lab, specifically green tea. And I can tell you that this is a natural chemical found in tea leaves that when you brew a cup of tea, the EGCG comes out into the liquid. So whether you actually have tea bags, you have loose tea leaves, or you have some powdered tea, which is another form of getting it. And whether it is green tea, whether it's matcha, you're all getting this catechin into your system. So what does EGCG do in the body? Well, something quite amazing. Drinking tea has been shown by cancer researchers to lower inflammation, which is, of course, one of the drivers for cancer. Green tea also boosts the immune system. Now, we all have cancers growing inside our body. It's a natural part of being alive. When our cells divide, they make mistakes, and each of those tiny little mistakes is a microscopic cancer. But our immune system wings by, finds that microscopic cancer, and takes it out like a sniper. And so good, strong immunity is actually cancer fighting, and green tea actually does that as well. But the thing that I think is most remarkable is that the catechins found in green tea cut off the blood supply to tumors. Now, all tumors are harmless until they actually get a blood supply. And this is a process called tumor angiogenesis. Now, our normal cells, our normal tissues have angiogenesis. We need them in order to be able to heal our wounds. But tumors hijack this process, okay? And they actually feed themselves to get oxygen and nutrients. And when a cancer actually does that, that is actually what allows tumors to actually grow wildly. In fact, studies in the lab have shown that without a blood supply, tumors can't grow beyond about 2 millimeters in diameter. That's the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen. But the moment blood vessels can actually grow up and touch that tumor and feed it, that tumor can grow 16,000 times in just 2 weeks' time. All right. So angiogenesis, which is normal for healing, good for our body. When tumors hijack it, the oxygen and nutrients allow the cancer to explode in growth. So tea containing the catechins cuts off the blood supply, prevents tumor angiogenesis, and that is one of the most powerful and important ways that green tea can actually be beneficial. Now, I like to drink green tea every day. In fact, I have a cup of it right here. Walk to walk, and I find it really relaxing. I drink green tea all throughout the day, especially in the evening, but green tea actually is something that goes back tens of thousands of years. If you look at Asia, tea bushes, tea plants naturally grew there, and they are hand-picked, they are dried into the sun, they are lightly roasted over fire, and then the process takes off in order to be able to convert them into different types of tea. You mix them with jasmine flowers for jasmine tea. You grind it into a powder to make matcha. You roast it deeper in order to be able to create black teas, which are also beneficial for your health, by the way. Not just green, but black is also good. Somewhere in between is oolong tea. It's kind of a medium tea. And then you can ferment tea. It's called pu'er, beautiful tea. But let's stick with green tea for a second. Green tea has these anti-cancer benefits. So one of the questions is how do you actually make the green tea and how much should you drink? Well, listen, I like using loose leaf tea. You can actually brew it in a pot with hot water. Don't ever drink a tea with boiling water you just put in there. That actually, that scalding liquid has been shown to increase the risk of cancer because you're injuring the esophagus. So do not do that. Let the tea cool down. And actually, it takes that time of cooling down to also steep out the catechins. That's a little tip for you. And if you're using a tea bag, you want to dunk the tea bag, all right, in order to be able to shake out those catechins into the liquid. When it actually is cool enough to be able to sip comfortably, then sip it. 2 to 3 cups of tea a day actually has been shown to be beneficial for many different types of conditions. But the most important thing that I like is that it tastes great and it's actually relaxing. Okay. Next food we're going to talk about is brassica. Brassica is a type of vegetable. It's a group of vegetables and contains broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy. It's a green vegetable that you can saute, common in many different types of cultures. You find it in Mediterranean, you find it in Asia. And what's actually in these brassica vegetables are sulforaphanes. These are another natural chemical. And these sulforaphanes, what do? They boost the immune system, right? Good, strong immune system, knocks out microscopic cancers, also lowers inflammation. Inflammation is like the gasoline on a fire, making the cancer grow hotter and faster. When you actually calm inflammation, you're putting out the fire, all right? And actually that is very helpful when you want to fight cancer. The other thing that the brassica does, it actually contains the sulforaphanes that actually are anti-angiogenic. They starve the cancer by cutting off the blood supply. And this has also been shown with broccoli, for example. Now, here's something really interesting. This is a pro tip. The grown-up broccoli is not just the treetops. That's what we used to always eat when I was eating when I was a kid. Your mom always told you, eat those treetops. Okay, and the treetops do have the sulforaphanes, but it turns out that the stalk, the long stem of a broccoli is actually mostly a stem. It's like a whole tree with some treetops on it. The treetops have the sulforaphane, but the stalk has twice as much of the good stuff. So if you're actually cooking broccoli, cook the treetops, the florets is what they call them, but also save that stem. Stem, if you slice it on a diagonal and saute it, absolutely delicious. You'll find it in a lot of Asian dishes that way. If you don't want to saute it, you can actually just put it into a food processor and make a broccoli soup. You want to add a little oregano in there. It really makes a broccoli oregano soup is actually absolutely delicious. I actually included that broccoli oregano soup recipe in my book, Eat to Beat Disease, if you're actually interested in it. Okay, so broccoli, cancer fighting. The next food we're going to talk about is papaya. Now, most people don't think about papaya as a cancer-fighting food, but this is actually sort of an oblong football-sized and kind of oval-shaped fruit, tropical. When you cut it open, when it's ripe, it's actually bright orange inside with little black seeds. You scoop out the seeds, and the flesh, when it's ripe, is absolutely delicious. You can just eat it up with a spoon, slice it up, put it onto a plate, and just have it for breakfast, have it after dinner for dessert. Absolutely delicious. Now, papaya has been shown to actually lower the risk of lung cancer. Now, why is that? Well, that red color in papaya contains carotenoids, something called beta-cryptoxanthin and beta-carotene. And these actually are also anti-inflammatory, and you guessed it by now, you get the drift, it's actually anti-angiogenic as well. All right, so we went through tea, we went through broccoli, brassica, and now we're on to papaya. I love to have papaya for breakfast. It's a great way to get some fruit. It's not very sweet, which is an advantage if you need to watch the amount of sugar you eat. And speaking of sugar, sugar and fruit is perfectly fine for most people. All right, don't eat too much of it. Eat a reasonable amount of it. And the whole fruit is always going to be easier on your metabolism because it has less sugar in it than having the juice. So I always recommend having papaya fruit as opposed to papaya juice if you're going to actually enjoy papaya. All right. And most places actually have papaya. You don't have to go to the tropics, although wonderful to be there. And if you go to tropical countries, do look for papaya, but you can actually find it in the grocery store. By the way, frozen papaya chunks are also really good as well. The frozen chunks, they actually trap all those bioactives, so perfectly fine. Cancer starving, anti-inflammatory. All right. Next food we're going to talk about are purple potatoes. If you haven't seen a purple potato, it is a beautiful potato. Regular potatoes, kind of brown, dirty looking. Purple potato, you could tell even from the outside. There's something interesting because it's purplish on the outside, but when you cut it in half and hold it open, man, that is a beautiful purple color. And the purple comes from a natural dye called anthocyanin. Anthocyanins are bioactives, and these bioactives, you guessed it, lower inflammation. They cut off the blood supply to tumors, anti-angiogenic against tumors, cuts off the blood supply feeding cancers. And there's one additional thing that I think is absolutely brilliant about purple potatoes, and the research that's been done on them in a lab, is that purple potatoes actually have been shown to kill cancer stem cells. Now, cancers are just an abnormal mass of cells, but when they keep on coming back, they need their own stem cells to regenerate themselves. You know, when a cancer patient actually has their tumor removed by surgery, treated by chemo or radiation, and you're done, right, for 5 years, but sometimes they come back. Well, the reason those cancer cells come back is because of their stem cells. That cancer figures out how to resurrect itself. And so purple potatoes actually have been shown to kill colon cancer stem cells. What an amazing thing. Plus, a beautiful food to boot. Now, by the way, if you actually cook purple potatoes, steam them, saute them, bake them, do it however you like. You can make a purple potato soup. I have a recipe for purple potato gnocchi in my first book. Absolutely beautiful. If you want to actually make it even better for your gut microbiome, all right, because there's fiber in potato, you actually put it in the fridge, turns into resistant starch, easier to digest, and also helps your gut microbiome become healthier. So purple potatoes, check them out.
Hey, just a quick note. I wanted to share another great resource with you. Look, I love eating seasonally. When foods are in season, they taste fresher, their flavors are better, and they have, more importantly, more bioactives that help your body activate your health defenses. So they're better for you as well. And I put together a special guide that shows you some of these foods called 3 disease-fighting foods for the spring. Trust me, these are the foods that you're going to want to put in your cart the next time you're in the grocery store or when you're at the farmer's market. Get my guide for you right now for free in the caption below. Now, let's get back to the video.
All right, let's talk about next food. We're going to talk about pomegranates. Speaking about purplish, reddish foods, the pomegranate, also a tropical fruit, although you can find them in most grocery stores now. They are kind of like a big apple with a thick skin and a little bit of a crown at the very top. They're heavy. And you know why they're heavy? Because they're filled with seeds that around every seed is a little bit of liquid, and that's pomegranate juice. Now, these seeds and pomegranate juice are packed with bioactives. These are naturally occurring chemicals that give foods their biological punch. Okay, this is what you eat to beat disease, are these foods with these bioactives. And in pomegranate, they're called elagitannins. Now, elagitannins also help to give the bites, the kind of acidity, and also contribute to the color of the pomegranate. You want to be careful when you actually eat and work with pomegranate, because that dye around the seeds will stain your clothes if you're not careful. All right, but absolutely delicious. You know, by the way, each seed looks like a little ruby, beautiful red color. You ever see pomegranate in salad? I had a Syrian salad the other day called fattoush, and it had little pomegranate seeds in it. So as you're eating the salad, you bite into it, these little fruity rubies, and an explosion of sweet flavor and juice. Absolutely delicious. Okay, so what do elagitannins do? Well, they do a couple of things. Pomegranate elagitannins have been shown to cut off the blood supply to tumors, all right, starve cancer, anti-angiogenic, and in fact, clinical studies have even been done in men with prostate cancer showing that pomegranate juice can actually slow down the rise of PSA. Now, if you don't know, PSA is a blood marker that goes up when you have prostate cancer. And for men who are actually having their PSA go up, having pomegranate juice pretty much kept them at a cruising altitude, so they wouldn't actually keep rising. Pretty amazing, right? So what do we think actually is going on? Well, it turns out elagitannins are anti-angiogenic. They cut off the blood supply to cancer. And in the case of prostate cancer, would make the prostate cancer harder, make it harder for them to actually grow and become more aggressive. Hence, we think this is actually why the PSA actually is able to be leveled off. Now, the other thing that pomegranate juice does, which is really amazing, is that the elagitannins, which you eat, trickles down your gut, goes down to your lower gut, your colon, and it stimulates your colon to produce natural mucus, right? We think about mucus normally in the upper throat, back of the mouth, right? If you want to actually have spit, right? But mucus is all throughout our GI tract, all through our intestines, and in the colon. When your colon secretes mucin, it helps a natural, healthy gut bacteria called Akkermansia muciniphila. Some people say mucinophilia, wrong. Akkermansia muciniphila. This is one of your best friends of gut bacteria, because Akkermansia, when it comes to cancer, talks to your immune system, makes your immune system a lot beefier and stronger in the battle against cancer. So here's pomegranate with pomegranate juice with elagitannins that actually lower inflammation. They starve cancer by cutting off the blood supply. They help nurture your gut microbiome, including an organism, Akkermansia muciniphila, that actually talks to your immune system and helps your immune system pounce and get rid of cancer. All right? 5 foods that actually help fight cancer. Let's go through them. Green tea, brassica, these like broccoli, papaya, purple potatoes, and pomegranate. Today I'm going to talk about something that might be a little controversial, but it's actually supported by science, and that is that some dairy products, and I'm going to talk about 2 of them, yogurt and hard cheeses, might have the possibility to help fight cancer and help burn body fat all at the same time. Now, most people will be surprised that a scientist and a physician like me, who studies food and medicine, would even dare to identify dairy foods as having possible health benefits for diseases like cancer and excess body fat. I mean, after all, doesn't dairy product have excess fat, excess salt, and it causes inflammation? Well, this is where the research gets really interesting. First of all, one of the things that's really important for me as a food as medicine researcher to do is to keep my eyes open and my mind open for data and not to really quickly assign good guy or bad guy labels to foods. And that's really, I think, very central to the way that I approach my work. And when it comes to food, the foods are complicated and we don't understand everything that they might do. And so we have to keep our eyes open to observe and then to think through what might be the reasons for benefits or harm, right? So let's take a look at the first dairy product, yogurt. Yogurt is a dairy product and it's been already proven to be beneficial for health and longevity, meaning that yogurt's a probiotic food. It's fermented. It's got healthy bacteria that actually blooms during the creation of the yogurt. And basically, bacteria grow, and the good bacteria outgrow the harmful bacteria, and that's what's packaged up and what you actually eat. Now, scientists hundreds of years ago have noticed that people who eat whole yogurt, and some of the earliest findings, observations were done in Bulgarian monks that were eating yogurt every single day. They lived to ripe old ages. And the thinking at the time was that there must be something in the yogurt that was actually contributing to their longevity. And what was that? Well, today we know yogurt actually contains healthy bacteria. It's a probiotic food that when you eat it, that bacteria actually contributes to your healthy gut microbiome. The gut microbiome is a colony of bacteria, a community of bacteria in your gut. There's about 39 trillion of those bacteria. And that bacteria acts like a community of good neighbors. Why are they good neighbors? Well, good healthy bacteria actually lower inflammation in your body. They raise immunity to help your immune system become stronger. And by the way, cancer actually is battled invisibly in your body by a good, strong immune system. So good, healthy gut bacteria helps your immune system battle diseases, including cancer, specifically microscopic cancers. And good, healthy gut bacteria also improve your metabolism. They help you control body fat. Excess body fat leads to inflammation. Inflammation is a setup for cancer, right? As well as the growing of body fat. So good, healthy gut microbiome does that. And when you actually have a well-balanced microbiome, it's actually called a eubiotic state, E-U-B-I-O-T-I-C, eubiotic. Now, when the microbiome is not in good shape, it's called dysbiotic or dysbiosis, and that's actually when your gut bacteria are in a state of disrepair. Good neighborhood starts to have bad neighbors moving in. They start to riot. There goes the neighborhood. And that's actually what happens when you actually have unhealthy bacteria. Now, the other thing about good bacteria is you want to have high diversity. A good neighborhood has different types of people. They mix together. They're all richer for each other's differences. And it's the same thing for your gut microbiome. And so you want to actually eat foods that give you good gut diversity. Now, this is one of the reasons why eating colorful foods that actually contain a lot of different polyphenols that help contribute to their color, their diverse colors, actually also contributes to helping to grow different diverse species of good, healthy bacteria. Now, if you actually have good, healthy, diverse bacteria in your gut, what do that's beneficial? Well, they produce these metabolites. Now, metabolites is just something that comes out of the organism, in this case, the bacteria. Once it eats something, it gets metabolized. They spit it out, or it poops it out, or it comes out of the body. And these metabolites for the bacteria are called short chain fatty acids. Short chain C fatty acids, FA. We abbreviate that and call them SCAFAs. And there are 3 different types of short-chain fatty acids that good, healthy bacteria in your gut actually produce. These are all beneficial because they help to lower inflammation, boost immunity, they improve our metabolism, make our body more insulin sensitive, so we're more efficient on our with drawing down glucose in our blood. And good healthy bacteria also text our brain to make us feel better, improve our cognition, and actually put us in a better mood. All right? All good things with good healthy gut bacteria. Now, these short chain fatty acids, the SCAFAs, are produced when the bacteria are fed, as I said, plant-based foods with dietary fiber. So the polyphenols are helpful to grow of a whole bunch of different types of diversity in the gut bacteria, but the dietary fiber is sort of like their main food that they munch on. It's kind of like dog food that you feed your pet dog every single day. And how do you get dietary fiber? Well, you eat foods like avocados and broccoli and kiwi and apples and many other foods that you can find in the produce section of the grocery store or the farmers markets. And you can also eat nuts, like tree nuts, like walnuts and pistachios and pecans and cashews and almonds, macadamia nuts, and seeds too, flax seeds, pine nuts. Seeds are also a great source of dietary fiber. When you eat polyphenols, colorful foods, or tree nuts with dietary fiber, guess what? It actually makes your gut bacteria more diverse. Healthy bacteria grow. They produce short-chain fatty acid. Inflammation goes down. And when inflammation goes down, it actually tips your odds in favor of your health as opposed to cancer. Now, why is that? Because cancer is a disease that thrives in an inflammatory state. So when you got inflammation around, you're actually more likely to trigger cancer growth. Now, we're all forming microscopic cancers in our body all the time. And the reason that they're not growing all the time in a big way is because your body has the ability to cut off the blood supply of cancer. It's called anti-angiogenesis. It's hardwired in our body to be able to do this. And then the cancers stay small and tiny. They don't have a blood supply, no oxygen, no nutrients. They don't grow. And then our good, healthy immune system, which relies on good, healthy gut bacteria, wings by like cops on a beat, spotting something abnormal, like a drug dealer on a corner of a peaceful neighborhood. It's kind of like a microscopic tumor sitting in your body in an organ someplace. And what does a cop do? Takes a bad guy, throws him in a paddy wagon, and your immune system will actually destroy that microscopic cancer. So that's basically how we stay healthy. And when we eat foods like yogurt, a dairy product like yogurt, and we're feeding our gut bacteria, lowering inflammation, boosting immunity, we are tipping the odds in favor of our body being able to be in a state to resist cancer, and which is actually the setup for preventing cancer as well. Now, a couple of caveats that actually is really important for you to think about. When you buy actually yogurt, you want to buy whole fat yogurt. Don't buy low fat yogurt. All right. Now you might think low fat's going to be better for me, right, Dr. Lee? Wrong. It turns out low fat yogurt, when you pull the fat out of yogurt, kind of collapses as kind of like a thick puddly milk. So yogurt manufacturers will put emulsifiers. Emulsifiers are thickeners like polysorbate 80, carrageenan, all these other thickeners in order to restore the mouthfeel so that it tastes like yogurt, it tastes like whole fat yogurt. Well, it turns out researchers have now found that emulsifiers actually harm your gut microbiome. When you harm your gut microbiome, even though you're eating a probiotic food like yogurt, you're actually accidentally harming your gut microbiome. And in fact, inflammation rises, all right? And that actually increases your risk for all kinds of chronic diseases, including cancer. So you don't want that, all right? So whole fat yogurt is the way to go. Now, the other thing you want to do is not hurt your gut microbiome, because you need a strong immune system. You want to fight cancer, especially if you're actually receiving a kind of treatment, the latest kind of treatment called immunotherapy. You want the best chances of surviving cancer. You want to get immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is in some ways the most natural way to treat cancer, because it invites your body, your own immune system, to be as powerful as possible to go after those cancer cells, all right? It's not chemo, it's immunotherapy, using your body's own immune system to help tip the odds in your favor. So, dairy products like yogurt that help your gut microbiome actually power up your immune system which tips the odds in your favor against cancer, especially if you're receiving immunotherapy for treating cancer. All right, so that's one of the dairy foods I want to talk about. Yogurt. Another little tip about yogurt, besides getting whole yogurt and not low-fat yogurt, is don't get pre-sweetened yogurt. You know what I'm talking about? When you're talking about the yogurt you get in a container and you look at it and it's got this like layer of sweetness to it. It's blueberry flavored, it's grape flavored, it's strawberry flavored. The stuff tastes good, but I can tell you don't do that because those sweetened layers are basically jelly with added sugar. And sometimes artificial coloring and maybe artificial flavoring. And what that does is it actually hurts your gut microbiome and adds sugar into your body that you don't want. All right. Instead, get plain whole yogurt, cut ripe seasonal fruit. You want strawberries? Get some ripe strawberries during the summer. You want blueberries? Get fresh blueberries when they're ripe. And by the way, you can also even use frozen because the strawberries and blueberries, even though they're sweet, so I'm not complaining about the sugar part, I'm talking about the added sugar part, not the natural sugar in the fruit. Strawberries have ellagic acid, cuts off the blood supply to the tumor. Blueberries have anthocyanins, which give blueberry their color, their natural dark blue color. That cuts off the blood supply to tumors. Add your own good stuff. Don't rely on the factory, the manufacturer, to come up with the stuff for you that actually might tip the odds against your favor. One step forward, two steps back. Don't do it. Whole fat yogurt, cut your own fruit into it. Want to put a little drizzle of honey, like the Greeks do, maybe a sprinkling of crushed nuts. Listen, that's a really healthy breakfast that can help you tip the odds in your favor against cancer. The other thing that yogurt does is by helping your good gut bacteria ramp up, it improves your metabolism, helps you improve regulation of your blood lipids, and actually can help to fight harmful body fat. All right? When you remove harmful body fat, visceral fat, guess what? You lower inflammation in your body. So here's something that can help tip the odds in your favor against cancer and help you lose weight. Yogurt, whole yogurt, is that. And if you cut up your own fresh ripe fruit, now you're adding polyphenols that are present in fruits in order to be able to enhance the benefits of this dairy product, which is actually yogurt. All right. Now, I'm going to talk about another dairy product that's probably going to surprise you even more, and that is hard cheeses. What am I talking about with hard cheeses? They tend to come from Northern Europe. You're talking about Jarlsberg, Emmentaler, Gouda, or Gouda, that's how they pronounce it in the Netherlands. Cheeses. These are hard cheeses, and research has actually shown that modest consumption of hard cheeses can lower the risk of both heart disease and some forms of cancer as well. Now, this is an association. These are epidemiological studies. And the question is, can that happen? How is that possible? Cheeses have saturated fat. Don't they cause more inflammation, et cetera, et cetera? Well, here is where I told you have to look at the data. If the data suggests there's something beneficial, don't just reject it out of hand, all right? Think about it. And this is where researchers like me have actually dug down deep to try to figure out a possible explanation of this. So here's the deal with hard cheeses. Some hard cheeses, like Jarlsberg, Gouda, Emmentaler, all right, they're very high in a special type of vitamin called vitamin K2, all right? Vitamin K2 is a special vitamin that is anti-angiogenic, cuts off the blood supply to tumors, all right? Check this out. I've got a free guide on my favorite breakfast foods to eat for longevity. From what's in my mug to what I look for when I buy these staples at the grocery store. It's all right here. All you have to do is click on the link and enjoy. So this vitamin, which is found in hard cheeses, is beneficial. Another name for it is menaquinone. Now, I'm not recommending that you eat cheese to battle cancer, nor am I actually telling you cheese is a health food. But I want to actually show you how this dairy product, cheese, does have some evidence that it can be beneficial and is associated with lowering the risk of both heart disease and cancer when you eat it in moderation. All right. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because, look, many of us love cheese. Me too. All right. And so rather than feel completely guilty, and you should know that the research is showing that there's some benefits. The key, absolutely key to eating cheese is moderation. All right. So if you want to actually eat cheese and get the benefits of cheese, which by the way, cheese is also a probiotic food. It's basically a fermented dairy product. It's actually good for your gut bacteria as well. But the vitamin K2 of hard cheeses is beneficial. All right. And net, it actually contributes when you eat cheese and hard cheeses in moderation. It contributes to what's inside your body that can actually help to lower the risk of cancer by fighting cancer. All right. And what about vitamin K2 and body fat, right? Well, this has been studied by researchers in the Netherlands at Maastricht University. All right. Now, what they did, these researchers, they enrolled 214 women who are postmenopausal. These women were between the ages of 55 and 65. And what they did, the researchers gave them vitamin K2, the same type of K2 that's found in hard cheeses. They gave them vitamin K2 to eat every day for 3 years. All right. And they compared this vitamin K2 eater group to women who were just given a placebo. Now, the results after 3 years were really surprising. The women who ate the vitamin K2 had a reduction in their body weight, so they lost weight. They also lost body fat, and the kind of body fat they lost was visceral fat, the harmful excess visceral fat that's found in the tube of your body. It wraps itself around your organs and then leaks inflammation. They actually lost that as well. And what they also found in the blood of the vitamin K2 eaters is they found higher levels than the placebo of a hormone called adiponectin. Adiponectin is made by fat cells, healthy fat cells. And what adiponectin does is it actually helps insulin in our body, the hormone that actually helps to draw blood sugar into our cells and to store it for energy. Adiponectin helps insulin actually work more efficiently. And when the adiponectin levels are high, insulin's more efficient, blood glucose comes down, the glucose levels in your blood come down faster, more efficiently, and overall, you're metabolically healthier, all right? And eating vitamin K2 can increase adiponectin levels in the bloodstream. So let's just sum up here. Cheeses, hard cheeses that contain vitamin 2, like Jarlsberg, Gouda, Gouda, and Emmentaler cheeses. These are Northern European cheeses. They can benefit your metabolism, and they can tip the odds in your favor against cancer through vitamin K2. All right. Remember, vitamin K2 can cut off the blood supply to cancer, anti-angiogenic vitamin. Now, I love cheese, but the key thing is to eat it in moderation. All right. Just be very, very careful because it does contain saturated fat. It does contain a lot of salt. And those are some of these other factors that are not so good for us. All right. So eating cheese in moderation actually has some benefits that you should know about. All right. And of course, if you don't eat dairy products and you don't eat cheese, totally fine. It's an optional food. You can steer your way around it just fine. But this video is really about the surprising benefits of cheese when it comes to fighting cancer, tipping the odds against cancer, and helping you fight body fat.
There is a new type of medicine that's not chemo that if you, they're called anti-angiogenesis. So they cut off the blood supply feeding the big cancers. By the time, so here's a research experiment that was done a couple of decades ago in a lab that I worked in. If you grew tiny little cancer cells and up to the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen, that's about 3 millimeters in diameter, and you kind of floated them in a broth and didn't allow them to touch blood vessels, they would just stay there at that size almost indefinitely. Okay. And in our body, that's the size that the immune system would wing by and take out. The moment you allow blood vessels to grow into that microscopic mass, that tumor will grow 16,000 times in 2 weeks. It'll explode. This is like a trigger that's get pulled in order to have cancers grow up. And for that reason, biotech companies started to develop anti-angiogenic drugs to treat cancer by cutting off the blood supply. So there are about a dozen anti-angiogenic drugs that have changed the game for treating kidney cancer and liver cancer and lung cancer and even brain cancer. All right. So we know that we can actually do this with drugs. The question is, can we do it with food? Not so much when cancer is out of the barn, horse is out of the barn, but what about prevention? What are foods that can prevent cancer? Well, it turns out that 2 apples a day actually can lower the rate of lung cancer and colon cancer. Why? Because there are natural substances in apples like quercetin, that's one of the natural chemicals, that actually are naturally anti-angiogenic. Green tea actually has been lower risk of colorectal cancer, okay, particularly in women. And what's in a cup of green tea are these polyphenols, e.g. CG. And when you drink it, it gets in your bloodstream. Why? Because the blood vessels are carrying it, and now your blood vessels loaded with this cancer-starving stuff. These little tumors don't have a chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the same as eating 2 apples a day and eating these specific foods as it would be just putting all those ingredients in a supplement and taking the supplement? Would that work just as well? To have like the super supplement that is just the killer of all cancer and diseases, of all these different nutrients?
Well, look, I'm a researcher, and I've been involved with drug development. And so if it were that easy, it would have been done a while ago. Right. But I can tell you that what I tell people is that the whole food is always going to be a little bit better for the following reason. Number one, for a supplement, you reduce it to a couple of different elements, that you try to pack into a capsule. Mm-hmm. The whole food, man, it's got hundreds, if not thousands, of natural goodies and chemicals, including like an apple's got the skin, it's got ursolic acid, it's got fiber, which feeds your gut microbiome, it's got quercetin, which cuts off the blood supply. So you're getting all that in there, compared to just one thing you try to pack into a little capsule. That said, supplements are useful, and I'm involved with designing and developing supplements as well. What we want to do, supplements, the term means topping off, right? So you're supplementing, you're not replacing. And this is what, like what you were just asking, Lewis, is so important. Like, can we just not bother eating and just have a supplement? No, man, like you should be eating because you enjoy food. It's good for us. It brings people together. It tells us something about our traditions, our culture, our family, our community. Everybody's from someplace. Everybody's got something that they love to eat. And of that list, there's some good stuff in it. And so we should really lean forward. So that's the other thing that's a little bit different from me, that compared to a lot of other doctors that tell people what not to eat. Mm-hmm. I try to tell people what you should add to your life, not that what you should take away. Plenty of people can tell you what to take away. Right. I'm telling you what to add, and we should add foods that activate your health defenses. And supplements can be useful to top things off.
Got it. I've been told many times that inflammation is also a big, I guess, warning sign for diseases and cancers. And the more inflammation, the more your body is less capable of defending itself, and its immune system is weaker, is what I've been told. What would you say are the best ways to reduce inflammation in the body quickly? Is it through food? Is it through medicine? Is it through fasting? Is it through, less, more sleep? Is it through a better environment? What would you say is the...
So, a lot of people, I think when they hear about inflammation, they think about it as a bad guy. And what I want to tell you is that inflammation is normal, and it's just part of our immune system. So when you actually have a bacteria or a virus invading your body, let's say you get a cold, your immune system sets up a little bit of inflammation in your nose, okay, which is why we have a stuffy nose, a runny nose, and then it tackles the invader right then and there, and then hopefully that's all that matters. And by the way, another sure sign of inflammation is if you cut yourself in the kitchen, and you see that little cut will pretty quickly swell up, turn red, and swell up. Inflammation, that's your immune system trying to tackle all the bacteria that might be trying to get into your skin. Inflammation is good, but it goes up to protect you, and then it comes right down. I call it like the volume switch in a car radio. Like you get in a car, you want to hear some tunes, got to turn it on. But what the problem with inflammation is when it doesn't go back down, it keeps on going more. It's chronic and it keeps on going up. And that's like getting in your car and having somebody, a passenger, turn up that volume and keep cranking that volume. And you're like, hey man, turn that thing down, right? Doesn't go down, and you just can't go on.
Right.
And that's what happens inside your body. So what are some of the different ways to actually deal with that? Well, the first thing to do is think about lifestyle, because we can actually give anti-inflammatories. I could tell you to go out to take some Motrin, Tylenol, whatever. That'll take down your inflammation. But actually, there are ways of actually doing it. If you actually just, if you stopped and just calmed yourself and took did some breaths and start to meditate, your body's inflammation will start to calm down. Okay. If you actually got a good night's sleep, your body will the inflammation will start to calm down. It's kind of like, everything is going crazy. Just let the thing settle a little bit. So that's your inflammation settling down. Now, there are foods that have a lot of anti-inflammatory properties that can be very helpful. So for example, cranberries have a lot of anti-inflammatory polyphenols. Chocolate even also has anti-inflammatory properties. Vitamin C is pretty anti-inflammatory. Strawberries, guava, red bell peppers, all really good, really good. I think that the other thing to think about is lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of fruits in particular, have anti-inflammatory properties. So the key about inflammation is that you don't want to get rid of it altogether.
Okay.
Okay. Like if you got pumped up on steroids, it would shut down your inflammation. You might get infected because you don't have any inflammation. You want your body to get its set point. You want to get back to balance. So I think that, there's lifestyle, there's diet, foods you can choose, there's sleep. All of these things can actually help to calm inflammation. It's not a single on and off switch.
I'm curious, what would you say are the most harmful foods then? If you said here are 3 foods that we should be eliminating, what would be those most harmful foods that cause the spike in inflammation consistently and causes a lot of these other diseases and cancerous cells to occur?
Right. Well, I'll tell you 3 foods that actually harm the body's health defenses, and including the immune system by ratcheting it up inflammation and then lowering the defensive properties, but also harm your DNA, also harm your microbiome, also blunt and stun your stem cells, and also wreck your body's ability to control its blood supply. So it's a lot worse than simply causing triggering inflammation. And by the way, that's the whole point, right? Like we try to take the silver bullet approach to everything. Let's match this with match that. What I'm telling you is that the body is this system.
Yes.
So either you introduce something good to it, and you'll probably light up a lot of good systems. And if you put something bad to it, you'll probably trash a lot of it, right? Okay, so what are some 3 foods that actually we know can trash your body's health defenses? One is soda. So sugar sweetened beverages like soda, all right? So the favorite ones, It's tough, right?
I
Because
wish
we
I,
grew
I
up.
wish I could go back to my younger self and say, put down the 8 cans of Dr. Pepper a day. You know, when you're like 8 years old, man.
Well, I'm telling you, like, this is one thing that I always try to coach people on. If you really, really love sodas, okay, try to come off it, just by going down 1 can a day, because most people drink multiple cans. Go down 1 can a day and get to as low as you can, because the added sugar actually overloads your body, your body's ability to be able to handle the sugar. And then it makes you inflamed just
Yeah.
by the nature of the sugar.
I
Eventually,
cut out soda years ago. I mean, maybe I have it once in a couple months or something for like a treat, but
yeah.
it used to be almost an addiction probably for how much I drank it growing up as a kid. In the summers, you're just drinking it nonstop, like water. But then when I learned about nutrition more, when I was playing sports and realizing this is making me tired, it's not quenching my thirst. That's when I said, "Oh, okay, I need more of a competitive edge," and kind of cut it out of my life. So,
Well, not only does soda, actually the sugar in soda, cause inflammation, it really wrecks your microbiome, your gut bacteria as well. Your gut bacteria just can't tolerate that much sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. And then guess what? And then you say, well, wait a minute. That's why we have diet soda, right? Turns out that those artificial sweeteners in soda screw your microbiome, your gut bacteria, even more.
ooh, more than regular can of soda.
More than a regular can of
Come
soda.
on. So if it says 0 sugar and it's a soda or a pop, you're saying that could be more harmful than
For
just
your gut microbiome.
Gotcha.
Right? Because the zero sugar is actually to prevent, glucose spikes in your body. But in point of fact, it actually wrecks your gut microbiome. And remember what I told you, that gut microbiome communicates to your brain, communicates your immune system, communicates your healing systems. That is not a system you want to screw with. And so that's why, I try to tell people, you really got to watch out for those artificial sweeteners. They do some bad things. So that's one thing. So
what are the best, before you go to the next thing, what are the best sweeteners we should be looking for when we're adding something into food or
Sure.
we see it on the packaging?
Sure. Well, natural sugars in fruits and vegetables, people go, well, I don't want any sugar in them, but what about in a peach? There's nothing better than a summer peach to me. And that natural sugar is okay, because when you eat the peach, you're not just getting the sugar, you're also getting all these other bioactives and the fiber and everything
Fibers,
else.
yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of natural chemicals that are good for you from Mother Nature's kind of pharmacy with an F.
Yes.
Okay. So that's different than just, having sugar in
Corn syrup.
a glass.
Yeah.
Or corn syrup, right. High fructose corn syrup, not good for you. Maple syrup, a good way to sweeten.
Okay.
Honey is also a good way to sweeten as well. Monk fruit is actually a really, really sweet tasting gourd. That's a shell that is also a decent sweetener. Stevia, actually pretty powerful sweetener. I've been doing some research on it. I haven't been able to find anything wrong with it. But for people that are looking at stevia, be very careful. Pick up that package and look at the side of the box and read what's on there, because a lot of things that are called stevia actually have a lot of other things added to it.
Okay.
So you want to get the pure stuff. I always tell, if it's in a box, look at what's inside it before you buy it.
Hi there. If you enjoyed watching this video, I know you'll love the next one. Stay here and check it out. And I'll see you there.